Hello everybody, just wanted to welcome you to the build of Little Blue 3, a minivan stealth camper RV. They should only take 1 day to build at very minimal costs. For those of you who've been following the series for the Living in a Van, you know that this build originally occurred about 2 years ago, and it was Little Blue 2, actually Little Blue 1. And then I had to pull the parts from Little Blue 1 to put inside this vehicle, which is Little Blue 2. And we started having issues with Little Blue 2. So I had to switch and move the components into another van called Rusty Iron Van, which ended up being a smaller vehicle. So parts had to be cut, and this was built over like a period of 1 or 2 days real time. I mean, real time it took like about a week. But if you were going to do it, you could do it in 1 day, which is essentially what we're going to do with this van now. Little Blue 2 has been totally gutted out, other than some of the wiring and stuff that's still there. The wires you see up front there for the battery, the house battery system, as well as the 120 volt inverter system. And other than that, the van is completely empty, and we're going to start building by pulling components, adjusting them, and putting them in. Now, there are some rules I have to follow with this particular build, and these are basically the parameters that I have to work with. 1, I have to do this in 1 day. It has to be completely done in 1 day. We can convert this van from an empty shell to an actually functioning stealth camper RV. 2, I'm going to try to do it without any additional cost. So I have to work off the existing components that I already have, and even those costs was very minimal. If you had to buy everything from scratch, you could probably do it for under $100, other than the house battery system and the inverter. 3, this van still will need to function as a regular minivan that I can carry my children back and forth when I have visitation. So that means I'm going to have to leave that middle seat area and install the folding seat, which kind of hinders the design in a way, but it allows versatility in the sense that this van, even though it will be a fully functional stealth RV camper, can still easily, within a minute, be converted back into a people transporter that can carry up to 4, maybe 5 people. So without further ado, let's begin building Little Blue 3. The first thing to do when designing a van build is figuring out what the needs are, which we've already done. The second thing is layout. Now, what I've decided is, originally I had a really nice layout for 1 people, possibly 2, but I think after using it, living in it for almost a year, that design would not really work that well for 2 people. It'd be a little too cramped. And the reasoning for that was the bed space was just from here to about right over here. So that was the size of a twin bed. I think this whole area from this side to this side is about the size of a full bed. And I'm thinking I want to have that full bed ability access. If not that, maybe even extend it out to this ledge. But that would mean the bed would have to be high up, which it was originally. So we had all the storage underneath. I wish the bed could have been lower, and it could be. I mean, if we just went with 1 drawer on the bottom here, then we could have the bed come up to here, you know, just so that you have 1 drawer layer underneath. And that might be doable if you didn't need all that space. But because I'm not only planning on using this as a weekender, I'm planning on using it as a full-time live-in vehicle, I have to have plenty of storage. So the plan will be to set up, just like we did here in Rusty Iron Van, 6 drawers underneath. So I'm going to put 6 drawers underneath and then build the bed up from there. I also have to make sure that it complies with allowing space for the bench seat that will go there. So the first thing we're going to do is put in the bench seat, because that will determine placement of everything else. And then we're going to start with the drawer unit in the back. I may give up the side drawers depending on what happens, but this configuration is designed mainly with the bed in mind. And the reason that bed is so important is after having lived in the van, you're going to find out that the main thing you use it for, or hopefully use it for, is to sleep in and cook. So those two components of this vehicle take precedence to everything else. Trying to have a really comfortable bed and an easy to use cooking system and an emergency bathroom that's easy to access. One of the most important aspects of this particular build is the seat right here, because this is going to allow the vehicle to function as a regular passenger carrier in addition to easily being converted to a minivan camper. And I've got a folding down bench seat that I've decided to put to this side, because on this side we're going to have the house battery system and we want to have plenty of room to access it, and we'll also have all that storage right there. These particular seats, they have these little latches that you can see it goes down. I've lined it up basically to the wheel well. I could move it over to one more side and have more room on this side, but we're going to leave this side kind of tight. This is where I want the passenger to come in. They even designed it like that. See, the armrest is on this side, but there isn't one on this side, so that people can come in through this side. This side we're going to try to leave for RV type functions, like the house battery system will go right there, and a little water system here for washing hands and whatnot. So we're going to go ahead and adjust this guy here. I'm pushing it down. Oops, I didn't get it to lock. I'm going to have to take both hands to do this, so stop filming for now, but I do need to latch the seat into place. Want to explain also that I put a wooden backing on here because originally it had one of those corrugated board thingies up here, and it cracked from me sleeping on it, being, you know, heavy. So I just put a piece of wood back here to make it stronger. You might want to do that if you're building your own, just so you don't have to deal with it breaking later. Alright, it turns out that to latch this, I had to push it forward. Then when you lift it up like that, it locks into place. So I can see the seat, it's not moving now. There's little hooks underneath that latch. So at this point, we still have a pretty much standard minivan with a fold down seat. The seat goes back. You can see we got just a regular minivan. Now the fun part begins. We're actually going to decide the placement of the layout. I've decided, last time I had drawers on this side, you know, for these kind of drawers right here. I had them on this side, but what I found was from the driver's side, visibility, when you try to look this way, gets blocked. So as a result, we put in some safety mirrors, you know, like RV type mirrors on the, I don't know if you can see up that little round mirror right there. But that was put there to help offset the blind spot. Well, what we're going to do with this design, because we know that that's a design issue, we're going to try to put drawers on this side if we decide to have top drawers. What's more important to me in this case than the drawers themselves is a wide bed. So I'd like to try to do it either from here, this side, all the way across, or maybe even go over this ledge if need be. So we're going to get our cabinet system and set it back here. At the same time, we want to leave this exposed so we can do tires, the spare tire underneath. Although I think this particular one may be broken right now, but I may still try to get it fixed so we can put the spare tire under that wheel, that well under there, and have it accessible. So when you're doing this, make sure you don't cover this up. Thanks to the magic of editing, or me not filming the boring parts, viewers don't get to watch me actually try to dismantle this component from Rusty Iron Van here to try to keep them intact, to give myself the least amount of work. I'm going to try to pull the whole section out here to install into Little Blue 3. Here then is what an initial fitting looks like, and you can see it fits fairly well. I am going to leave this gap here so that we can access this panel here, this bolt to handle the spare tire assembly, so that we can have our donut in case there's a flat tire and we need to switch tires out. I am going to shift this drawer unit back up towards the front like it was in Little Blue 2, so that we can have drawers up on this side. But that only leaves from here to here for the bedding, which is like a twin size. So if we need further space, I may extend it out all the way across, like this top part here, and get rid of the 4 drawers that would go right over here. And that would allow us to have either a full or a queen size bed back here. And I think we would have enough room for 6 drawers plus 2 small ones and some more up front. We'll see what happens. It's always best to lay things out before you start bolting things in, just to make sure that it'll fit the way you intended. I've made an adjustment here to make sure that this lines up and that the drawer units will actually go all the way in to the back. Because we've got more room here. You see how there's no overhang like on the other vehicle. And I wanted to make sure we had access to this area here, as well as make it line up and look nice on this side. But I can see now with this chair, the bench seat over here, it's going to be hard to access those drawers, which makes them not that usable. So I'm going to shift the chair down one more slot here, and then plan to have people enter on that side of the vehicle instead of this side anyways. So that's the adjustment that will be made, and I can start to bolt everything or screw everything into place. I have made the adjustment and shifted the bench seat over one more slot. It's locked into place. So you can see now from this side, when we open the door, we can actually access the storage. And it's just a matter of screwing things down now to make sure they don't slide around. Alright, I put a little screw here and one over there, and that's enough to hold this piece in place, which is holding this thing in. These cabinets here, drawers rather. Pull it out so it lines up and looks pretty. And now it's a matter of attaching this piece, but I'm going to line that up. So I'm going to push this piece back a little bit, then I'm going to screw this one into place. The cabinets are now installed for the side side drawer unit. And all that remains to be done is to add this side and screw everything into place, and then check the fitting of the bed. And the major part of the build is done. I have put the other wall panels. You can see I left the cut ruined part there on the bottom there. Nobody's going to see it. But this is to allow the bedding subframe to go underneath and rest on these two. So right now, this width to this width is the width of a twin. So I'm planning on keeping it as a twin for now. And I think if I need to convert this to full size, all we have to do is remove this top drawer. We lose these 4 drawers. But we can put them maybe underneath or somewhere else. But for now, we're going to do this build because I need to be able to live in this van when I'm working in Orlando. And that's the size of the bed that we have. That's the size of the wood that we have. So that's what we're going to go with for now. Sometimes you have to just say good enough is good enough. Obviously, there were some differences between the Little Blue 3 and Rusty Iron Van. I had cut wood and stuff to make it fit. There's some slight height variances, and also this one has wood paneling on the bottom here. So that was like, about a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch difference here in the height of the floor. So what happened was when I put these white boards back in here, it didn't really line up perfectly, so it wasn't level. But I did go ahead and take what was the ledge on the other one and make a new ledge on this one. You can see it doesn't line up perfectly. But that's to make this even right here. See how it's even all the way across and even across that to that? The reason is we wanted it even with the console, because we're going to actually put the bed all the way across. In the event I decide to make it so that this van can take a full size or even a queen size mattress, all we have to do is remove this drawer unit and put a board across the entire thing. And then we can put in a board. I mean, we have a larger bed and we lose 4 drawers, but that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and fit the wood panels there and see how our bed platform looks at this point. You can see that things are not perfectly level. Had I had a little bit more time and felt like doing it, I could have made it a little bit prettier as far as level and stuff, but I think it's level enough. And there is a back panel here now, the scap, because there used to be a kitchenette back here, if you'll recall, but this time we're doing away with that rear kitchenette. simply because what I found with urban stealth camping, I didn't really use the kitchenette that much. That would be more useful if I was living out in off-grid on the, boondocking somewhere in the middle of nowhere. So for now, this drawer space is important, and we're going to go ahead and lay the bed out and see how everything looks at this point. Here then is what the core build of Little Blue 3 looks like. Very simple. It's actually a scaled down version of Little Blue 2 for now. Built pretty much like it was in Rusty Iron Van. We have a lot of storage. We got rid of the rear kitchenette, which we could put in if we wanted to, but I'm not going to. I am reserving this space here for a closet, so we're going to have a closet where we can hang some clothes, including jackets here and other stuff like tools and whatnot. And we still have yet to install the power systems in the kitchen, which is going to come here, and that'll be appearing in a future video. But essentially we have all this storage underneath here that we have access to, that we can put things just like before. We have all these drawers. I'm going to install another drawer up here. Lots of space. You can see the bed. There's actually plenty of room here. I may go ahead and get a full-size mattress and see if it'll fit across both without having to pull out the drawers, which would be the most ideal. So, wait for that video once I get a chance to get some money saved up and buy the stuff that I need. So for now, this is actually a functional vehicle. I am going to add a house battery system as well as put up the curtains. So look for that video shortly.